Mine wasn't that bad, but I was like all over the road.
I like all the details out here. So.
Be addressed.
I sent you an email on it.
Did you?
My coffee going.
I didn't check one thing today.
Sorry.
You smell like I left for the rest. It smells so good. I don't like those.
So now it's not. I sent the whole
Okay. Wife is all.
Give it. Mike, you have it?
I'm like,
The oath.
no.
I gave it to you.
When? I like. We haven't looked at
You should not tease.
I should just stand.
Good evening, everyone. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived, I call to order this legislative meeting for the Woodland Hills School Board for Wednesday, March 21st, 2018. Ms. Puhle, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Ava Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Paige Strasberg?
Here.
Mr. Jeff Hanchett? Dr. Jeff Hildebrand?
here.
Ms. Sade Seligson?
Present.
Mr. David Graves?
Present.
Mr. Mike Belmont?
Here.
Ms. Jamie Glasser?
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have no moment of silence this week. That'll move us to the acceptance of the minutes for the February meetings. Is there a motion to accept the minutes for the February 14th agenda meeting and the February 21st legislative meeting?
So moved.
Second. Okay, moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any notes or corrections or discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, Ms. Puhle, will you call for the vote? The minutes are accepted by a vote of 7 to nothing. Okay. Moving on. The board did meet in executive session this evening to discuss legal and personnel matters. Are there any announcements, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, I have a couple, Ms. Glasser. A couple of things we're moving to April. We are going to recognize our winter sports, and we're going to move that to April because of the weather. But anyway, we do have Mr. Rodriguez here, so we'll recognize his in a moment. We also have a couple of recognitions for our people internally, and again, we'll take those up in April. I do want to remind everyone out there that the Hugs group will be holding their extravaganza. We're calling it Egg Extravaganza, EGGS Extravaganza, on Sunday, March 25th. It's the third of our major public celebrations we've done this year, and they've all been really, really successful. I'm expecting the same thing out of this one. There's going to be a lot of holiday-themed kind of activities for kids, and I could list them all, but there'll just be a ton of things. It's going to be this Sunday I believe at 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock. I think I got that right. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, sorry. They're coming for 1 to get ready. So if anyone wants to come at 1 to help get ready, they can do that. But it starts at 2. My apologies. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the high school. It'll be in the gym entrance there. We moved it inside because of the weather. So hopefully, and it will be bus transportation provided. So hopefully members of the community can join us for that. And again, I know we have Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez, would you please come up? We'd like to recognize another Stoner here and introduce the board to your team and talk a little bit about that. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board and Mr. Johnson, I brought my captains with me tonight, but one is sick, so I have one captain out of two. This is A.J. Presta George. You already know him because he's one of the student speakers. Rifle is one of the winter sports that we have at the high school, one of whatever, there's 6 or 7 that are there for the students to participate in. This year we had 46 individuals on the team, and we ended up runner-up at the WPIL championship, went on to the state championship, where one of our shooters, Elena Falvo, Elena Fawcett, ended up taking 5th place overall among all shooters in the state. The team this year ended up placing 6th. This was a little bit of a rebuilding year for us. We did lose a lot of power last year. We have a heck of a lot of power coming back. It was a young varsity lineup this year, so we're looking forward to some great things in the future. Again, AJ is our graduating senior and captain this year. He did an excellent job along with Jenny Yezovich. AJ, you want to come up and say a few words?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. As Ms. Rodriguez just stated, I was the captain this year for our rifle team, and although it was not exactly the best year that we'd hoped for, we certainly are looking to the future, and I'm certainly going to be, watching from my years to come, watching the successes that our program has to bring in the years to come. The program has certainly done a lot for me. The rifle program has certainly taught me a lot in many aspects of life, even away from the shooting aspect of things. It's taught me a lot of discipline and confidence. Confidence is something huge that that being on the team has taught me. Discipline, confidence, responsibility, leadership, being in a leadership position. So all in all, I'd say even though not the most successful year for us in accolades, certainly a successful year for us in other aspects, and certainly for me as well.
I wouldn't qualify. I think you guys had a successful year. I don't think I'd say it's less than a successful year.
I'd also like to recognize one of our volunteer assistant coaches here tonight. This is Charles Pantalone. Charles was a 2012 graduate of the program, then he went on to do 4 years in the United States Marines. So we're very happy that he's come back to us for the past 2 seasons, and hopefully we'll have him back again next year. Thank you very much.
I'm going to assume you're out of the Marines now, or else you wouldn't be able to. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have. That's all the announcements I have.
Okay. Anybody else have announcements at this point? Mr. Presta George, don't go away. Student speaker time. Welcome back. I'm glad to see you.
Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. So, as far as the current events going on here at the high school, well, it's been a couple months here since I spoke to you last. So, our winter sports have all wrapped up. Obviously, you just heard about the rifle team. Our basketball team also went to states, placed fairly high. Our bowling team, they had an individual, Jonah Hill, who went to the states, placed higher than any other Woodland Hills bowler in the past, which is fantastic. Many other winter sports saw some great successes. I know the wrestling team had an individual, Marcus Taylor, go to our Whippeals and place fairly high as well. Our spring sports are now underway. Unfortunately, with the weather, they're kind of on hold for now, but spring sports are definitely moving along with our other spring activities. The spring musical, something that has close to my heart. We're working very vigilantly and doing our fundraising and things like that. Our National Honor Society is going to be inducted in tomorrow down at the Woodland Hills Academy. Other things going on, other things that have already happened, our Love the World Night, hosted by our student council, was a large success. We had many students, teachers, parents come down and learn about our world's cultures and things like that on the night of parent conferences. Standardized testing is going to be happening fairly soon. Our AP testing, Keystone, things of that nature is going to be happening. Our student council and our newly founded Woodland Hills Students Against Gun Violence Club is as you guys know, working with you all to make walkouts. They did our national walkout on the 14th and is also hosting one this coming Friday on the 23rd. So that should be a good opportunity for our students to speak on things that matter to them as well, because it's affecting them as well. Other fundraisers taking place currently. Our senior class is working to raise their funds for the senior dinner dance coming up. They just sold Sarah's Candy. We're looking to host some more fundraisers in the future. The student council is hosting a food drive this month, and they are also hosting a donation. They're asking for donations to the Brothers Brother Foundation. That's a foundation located here in Pittsburgh, and they provide help to any country around the world who needs it, or domestically as well, and down in Puerto Rico, things like that. So, and I, along with other student council members, are going to classes Monday morning, asking for donations as well to the Brothers Brother Foundation. Very good foundation that's locally based. Our positive behavior intervention systems, also known as Nagy Bucks Candy Cash, has been.
I never said that.
Well, it's working fairly well. I think I'm seeing some positive change in our school's behavior, especially in the hallways and things like that, and certainly is a good thing, especially to students who get these paper slips, and they can enter to win prizes, things like that. So certainly a good thing. Hopefully it helps even more in the future. Dorothy Height is an author and also a writer of Pretty Little Liars. She is coming to our school on Friday, talking to anybody who I think English classes are going to see her. So that's a kind of a big deal. And also, seniors, this is a big month for scholarships. So Woodland Hills Foundation scholarships especially, they're all being sent their way. So, yeah, that basically sums up our current events here in the high school. Thank you very much.
I don't think we did, actually. I'm sorry. Speaking of Dr. Height, we are having, and I should have put this in the announcements, and I just didn't have it written down. Our Dorothy Height celebration is Friday, and that's 10 o'clock to noon, Ms. Lenz, correct? At Rankin. So we will have that going on. That's an annual event. We're looking forward to that. And did you want to say anything about that, Ms. Lenz, our guest speakers or anything? I think Reverend Eldridge is coming back.
Dr. Height's nephew, Reverend Daniel Aldridge, will be there, and he'll be on a panel. The entire program is all of our students. We have students from every building participating. They have done poems and artwork and writings, some of which had made me cry. Some of the stuff that our little ones are doing, and that will be displayed for everyone, and everyone will receive kind of like a handout of student work. And our chamber choir will be there. We have our primetime students, 7th and 8th grade, have the little drum line, so they're coming down and doing that. So it's going to be Dorothy Height's impact on our district and how our children are using her platform as a foundation for their platform. So it's going to be pretty awesome. And I believe we're going to stream it live as well. Mr. Rodriguez is going to do that, so I'll get an email out to staff and to you guys as well. If you can't make it, but you have a device or something, you can watch it.
Friday's going to be a very busy
Yes.
day.
Oh, and County Executive Fitzgerald is going to do a proclamation for Dorothy Height, and we'll give it to her nephew. So.
Any other announcements that we missed? Okay. Very good. I don't have any presentations.
I don't either.
Okay. We will do the Rankin Student Spirit Awards next year, the Wolverine Spirit Awards next month, rather?
Right.
Yeah, okay, very good. Okay, I don't have any registered speakers either, which will move us to the agenda.
All right, action item 2.1 will be request the board moves to appoint blank to the vacant Region 3 Director position through the general election of the year 2019.
Okay. I recognize that there may be some members of the public who wish to speak to the board on this issue. And to that end, I think we will move some public comment to this moment unless there's an objection from the board. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board regarding the appointment of a director to the vacancy? Just a reminder, Ms. Reed, 2 minutes, give your name and address,
Okay.
et cetera.
Darnika Reed, 134 Laniki Street, Wilkins Township. I think that the board should appoint Rana Curry, and that's because Rana has been active in the district as a member of the HUGS program. We know that she is dedicated to serving and supporting the students in the district. She comes to the board meetings, and we know that she genuinely cares about the students. And we need someone that we can count on to support our kids. They've been through enough this past year, and if we want to move in the right direction, she should be appointed. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay. Seeing none, I'll just give a brief explanation. We're going to take nominations from the floor for any of the 4 candidates who applied for the position. We did interview them last week in public session as per board policy. And I just want to say, I think I guess for the board when I say that we appreciate the 4 candidates who did go through the application process and were willing to sit with us for interviews. I think we had excellent candidates. All 4, I think, would do a fine job. So I appreciate your willingness to be part of that process. So seeing that, I think we can open the floor to nomination.
Okay, I'll go first. I want to nominate Rana.
Okay. Any other nominations?
You need the second.
No.
Okay.
Any other nominations?
There's no other nominations, then I guess it would be appropriate to make the motion to request the board to move to appoint Rana Curry for the vacant Region 3 Director position through the general election of 2019. Okay. Someone make that motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasburg?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Mrs. Curry?
Congratulations, Ms. Curry.
If you'll come up, we can swear you in.
Okay, if you just repeat after me. I state your name. I, Rana Curry,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I will support,
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Very good. Okay. Need you to sign there.
Put my name up there.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
There was too many. I was like, wait a minute over there.
We can either try to train you in 2 minutes on this, or we can get a paper copy. Can we get a?
I can.
You guys want to try to
We can do.
walk her through it? Okay, that's fine. Mike's a good teacher, a little impatient, but a good teacher.
Thank you. Okay.
You can abstain if you're not sure. Abstain.
But also feel, and I'm saying this, you're free to vote on any and all issues.
You're knowledgeable about the district, so you certainly have a background. You can vote if you feel. All right.
Okay.
Everyone.
We can.
Action item 2.2, request the board authorize Jordan Tax Service Incorporated and Gehring, Rudder and Beam to file, that's the law firm of Gehring, Rudder and Beam, to file new or advance already filed tax sale actions in the name of and on behalf of the Woodland Hills School District when the board approves Tricog Land Bank acquisitions of tax delinquent properties located within the Woodland Hills School District through approval of Resolution 529.18. That's attached.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mr. Belmont. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 2.3, first and final reading of policy 610 on purchases subject to bid. This just raises the limits on items that have to be bid.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on this change? Okay, this is a first and final reading. This is a relatively straightforward change. Seeing no questions, take the vote.
Did you get a box?
I did not.
Yes, it's been killing me for 7 years.
How about now?
It is.
Thank you.
Are we missing Julie?
Nobody.
It just came up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait to that.
Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 2.4, first and final reading of policy 611. Purchase is budgeted. Essentially, this is just a companion policy to the previous one. It raises the amounts that wherein the district is required to bid.
Any questions on that? Okay. Seeing none?
Did I miss the first and second?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Now, any questions or discussion? Okay. Now seeing none. With apologies for my lapse. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 2.5, request approval of the 2017 to 2022 collective bargaining agreement with the Woodland Hills Educational Support Professionals Association, retroactive to July 1st, 2017, and extending through June 30th of 2022.
Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Osbaugh, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on the contract proposal? Okay. Seeing none. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you to Mr. Johnson, who's here, for your help in getting to that agreement.
Congratulations to the board and congratulations to the Support Association's 5-year contract. Very good. We now have 2 long-term collective bargaining agreements in place, and that's really good news for the school district in this day and age. That's very uncommon, and you're all to be commended for that. It's hard work. Moving on, action item 2.6. Request approval of the PSBA workshop service agreement for Tuesday, April 3rd from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at a cost of $800.
Mrs. Curry, we have a training for you on that day. That's for the board. Please make note of that date. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second. Okay, moved by Mr. Belmont, second by Dr. Hildebrand. I will note for the group that this is our training session that we had set with PSBA to set some goals and work on plans going forward. So any questions?
Amy, I'd just like to thank you for the logistics on this and for the Sunday meeting we had last month. We're tireless in putting that all together. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Is that a conflict of interest for us to vote on something for us to do?
No, I think in fact we need to do that. So,
convergence of interests.
Yeah, there you go.
Or I should say maybe we want to do. But
yeah.
We should do.
There we go. Need to do. Okay. And any other questions or discussion on that? Okay. Seeing none. Just so you're all aware, I'll be finalizing the plans for that with Dr. Bennett and Brianna in the coming days. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 2.7, a request supporting the organizational sign-on letter regarding the impact of Pittsburgh's bus rapid transit plan.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Belmont, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion on this? Yeah, Mr. Belmont.
I don't think the board is opposed to the concept of this project. It will certainly help, but at the same time, it's hurting bus service in our area. And we've already had our share of service cuts over the years. So we're hoping that Pat will be able to work through this and not cut any service from our side of the county. Thank you.
Anybody else have comments or thoughts?
Well, I expressed my thoughts to the board in my update, but just to remind the board, and I understand why you want to support this, but the Port Authority is a very important partner of ours in transportation. They've helped us save a lot of money. I would hope we could work with them amicably to resolve this, because I've spoken to administrators there, and I believe they're very interested in coming up with a solution that it will satisfy the entire area. But again, that's just my thoughts on it.
Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of proclamations that demand things, right? The tone of the letter, I don't think, is they're trying to reach an amicable agreement. And I understand the need, and I mean, I live out here, and our services are where we want to get, so I understand the problem. But the spirit of it doesn't seem particularly cooperative.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind everybody, too, that several of our boroughs have signed on to this, and I just want to get Pat's attention. I'm sure we can work through it, but I'd like to see us support this.
Yeah. I'll just say, too, I think the new administration of the Port Authority has indicated that they have concerns about the BRT plan as proposed as it is. I think the letter is requesting changes to that plan that are needed. So,
Agreed.
That's why I think it's something that we should consider and look at. I don't think it is necessarily antagonistic to the Port Authority. I think that it acknowledges the potential value of the BRT plan, so long as it is changed and makes service available without interruption and without additional cost for residents of our district, many of whom rely on transit as their primary mode of getting around town, and we need to be cognizant of that fact too. So that's where I am on that. So, okay. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Okay.
Move to curriculum and action item 3.1. I request permission to attend the Pennsylvania Association of Federal Programs Coordinators 2018 annual conference. This is something we do every year. The funds for this come from Title I. I believe this is Mr. Clausen and Ms. Engler to attend this.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Go to Section 4, Special Education, Action Item 4.1. Request approval of the Educational Services Agreement with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Number 3 for the 18-19 school year.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any questions or discussion on this? Okay, seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 4.2, request approval to renew the district's agreement, our district subscription with IEPwriter.com from April 1st, 2018 through September 30th of 2018. It's only a partial year renewal because we will be migrating over to the Power School IEP Writer. So this is only a partial year subscription, a total cost of $6,030.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Strasbaugh, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 4.3, request approval to ratify a contract agreement with the Watson Institute and Friendship Academy for the 2017-18 school year for a student that will be attending classes there at a cost of $44,788.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions or discussion?
Can I don't know if we can say this. How many students do we currently have going to Watson Institute?
I don't know. Jennifer, do you have an idea off the top of your head?
Okay. It seems we've been improving a lot of these in the last couple of months. There's a couple every month.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering if there's an increase, or are these renewed every year that we have to approve them, or?
Well, for Friendship Academy, that's usually a type of service with an APS that is contracted through the state, which they pay approximately 60% and we pay 40%. This, though, because they are not have any of those slots left, that's why you're seeing these contracts coming through. One of the last contracts that we did have was that they did then get a 40-10 slot, so we will not be doing that private.
Yeah, I think Dr. Hildebrand's question, though, is are we seeing an increase in the number of students going to APS placements? I think we are.
Yes.
But I also think it's important to point out that not that long ago, we had a great deal more than we have now. We've managed to bring those numbers down substantially, mostly through the therapeutic classrooms at Rankin have helped us limit our APS. But as of late this year, we have seen an increase. But again, relative to, say, 3 or 4 years ago, Ms. Leonard did a lot of work to bring a lot of them back. So we're in better shape now than we were probably in 13, 14, but we're higher than we were last year.
Right. I mean, no, I appreciate that. I just was wondering if it's a coincidence why it always seems to be the same place that we've been sending them to in the last couple months.
That's mostly determined by who has seats available.
It's the IEP team decision on where community service is best. There's only 3 schools within, 3 private schools within our area that actually have that therapeutic component.
Okay, fair enough.
And actually, as they go, that's a relatively modest cost. We have some that are a great deal more expensive than that. So it's actually for this kind of service, it's pretty reasonable cost.
Is the $44,000 cost in there? That'll be prorated.
Right. That's prorated.
Okay.
That's the highest it can be, but for that particular one, we just read it will not be 44,000 because that is from the beginning of the school year.
Okay.
I think we also do it per diem, so days they're not there, we don't pay. Is that correct? New Story does that.
For the APSs, because that's a slot that they're holding, that will not be a prorated.
All right. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Any other? Sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion at this point? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Alicia, why don't you make a note? Let's get the board numbers on, and Jennifer, let's get numbers for the board on APS placements, put it in the update so they can see this year plus a couple of trend years, because it is up, but it's a lot better than it used to be. Action item 4.4, approval to ratify the contracts with News Story. That's another APS for the 17-18 school year. This is for a student at a cost not to exceed $16,560.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any questions, discussion on this? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 4.5, approval to operate an extended school year ESY program in the summer of 2018, July 9 through August 3rd, for students who are eligible to participate in extended school year. And I'm sorry, what's the total budgeted cost on that? I'm not seeing that. Mike, was there a budgeted cost put in for this?
No, there wasn't.
Do you know what we have a budgeted at? I think we should have included that information.
Well, it's there. I didn't get a chance to pull it, so I don't know off the top of my head.
Jennifer, do you know?
No, I don't have that information with me.
It's about 120,000. Does that sound right? That's what it was last year. I'm not comfortable asking.
That would be the same. I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to.
That might be the wages and benefits, but there's transportation in there that would bring it up.
I'm not comfortable asking the board to approve this without them knowing how much they're committing to. Can we approve it if it doesn't exceed last year's expenditures by some percentage? Can we do something like that, or else do you want to just hold it?
Hold it because we don't know what we're going to do.
You don't know what enrollment.
Yeah.
Right.
We have higher numbers this year, so.
All right. Can we?
Isn't this added for tab?
I'm sorry, Mr. Graves?
Is this an added for tab?
4.5.
Remember it being on the agenda meeting for last week.
Yeah, it was here.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
I believe it was there.
Yep. Yes.
All right.
I think we should hold this until we have numbers for the board.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Move to pupil personnel, action item 5.1. Request the board ratify approval for contracting with CPR Simplicity, formerly St. Margaret Hospitals Foundation, for CPR and first aid recertification and AED training for approximately 60 Woodland Hills staff members. That took place on March the 9th. A total cost of $2,100.
Is there a motion?
Mandatory training we're required to have.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any questions on this? Okay, seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 5.2, approval of the PAR Social Norms Campaign program at Rank and Promise for the remainder of the school year and for the 2018-19 school year. There's no cost to the district for this.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions or discussion?
But voted about it.
Sure. Ms. Golden, could you give us some details on the program?
Excuse me, good evening. I put some documents at your desk, at your seats. The first document is just some information about the agency PAR and the services that they provide. And it's a comprehensive service. They provide comprehensive services to children and adult victims of sexual abuse throughout Allegheny County. They've been providing services for the past 46 years. And in addition to those services for victims of sexual abuse, they also provide medical and legal advocacy, 24-hour helpline, crisis counseling, education risk reduction prevention services for adults and children through community groups, schools, and colleges, which is what we're going to focus on. And they also provide professional trainings throughout the county. So what we talked about was that they are open to providing the Social Norms Campaign to our students in grades 3, 5, and 9 this year, with starting out with those kids with the hopes of extending it to all of the students at Rankin and also throughout the district. The Social Norms Campaign focuses on 4 areas: teaching consent to children, when it's okay to hug, things like that, boundaries, being a friend, how to decipher flirting versus sexual harassment. I also provided for you 2 different, the first thing was the a survey that they give to students just on what they know, and they also use that information provided from that survey to provide instruction in the classroom. The other two documents are the curriculum that they use for students that I provided, one for grade 3 and also one for grade 6. And then the final document was just a listing of the prevention services and trainings that they provide.
So, because this could be a touchy subject with parents, is parent permission required before students participate?
Yes.
In such?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have an extra question. Sorry. I think this is a great program, and I'm really happy that our students are going to have a chance to participate. Thank you for that. For the survey for the high school age students, what's going to be done with that data? Or who's it going to be shared with?
It's going to be shared with, they're going to use the data to kind of use it to guide the instruction in the classroom. And it'll be shared with the students and with the staff at Rankin. Welcome.
Any other questions on this? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Move to personnel, action item 6.1, request approval of sections A, B, C, D, and G.
Is there a motion? Moved by Mrs. Strasbaugh, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions that we can answer here, or any need to go into executive? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote.
Motion passes unanimously. We will move right to Section 7, Technology, and action item 7.1, request permission to contract with Comcast Business as a secondary internet service provider at a monthly cost of $439.85, coming from General Fund 10.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions on this one?
This is an E-rate thing, so it's going to be $43.99.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Graves.
Why did we skip 6.2?
We skipped 6.2 because we did not have the information on the MOU. We didn't have that. That MOU was not available to us, so we're going to do that next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I was going to explain that. I appreciate your question. Okay. Any other questions on 7.1? Okay. Seeing none, apparently we were all not here. Okay. We're here now. Yeah, it did. Okay, that motion carries unanimously. Again, just to note, we did skip over tab 6.2. That was on purpose because the MOU was not available for the board to review in advance of the meeting. So,
technically, would you do a motion to table that then?
Yep. Is there a motion to table 6.2?
So moved.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion is tabled till we take it off. Okay.
Action item $12,075 from General Fund.
Is there a motion? Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the Raptor purchase. Mr. Belmont. Sure. Steve, if you can hear me?
Yeah, Steve usually appears. I know it draws from one of the Megan's Law databases. That's its initial thing, and it also can create an internal database. But I'll let Steve come in.
No. There he
If
is.
you just give us the quick talking points on Raptor for everybody.
Sure. This will eliminate our paper visitor sign-in, and as an added bonus, it will scan the Megan's Law website for any sexual predators or offenders. It'll also give a nice printed, legible visitor tag, because right now these are all signed and scribbled, and you don't know who it is.
Right.
So,
Steve, you're very prepared. That's impressive.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Pulled that right out.
Go ahead.
I think I recall something about the child's parent or guardian being identified within that as well.
yes, we can build our own database, and we can put guardianship in there. And as another added bonus, it will integrate in with PowerSchool. So if we put guardianship into PowerSchool, it will then transfer down into the Raptor system. So then that way, if someone comes to sign a child out, if they're not on that list, they're not getting anywhere.
To set reasonable expectations about what this does and does not do, the databases that it searches externally, the Megan's Law database, that's it, right? So we're not looking at...
We're not looking at driver's license numbers. We're not looking at any other outside databases.
Okay. There's no check in the court system. There's none of that. Okay. But we can build a database of our own that would include contact information, that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
we can put our own notes in there and other different things like that.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for Steve? Ms. Belmont, do you have something? Okay.
I think it's the other thing importantly it does is the current system we have really doesn't, we don't really archive it. If we remember to keep the sheets, we have it. But
that's it.
We couldn't, we would have a very difficult time going back 3 months and telling you who all visited the high school on a given day. But with this system, we'll have essentially a more or less permanent database of all the people that have been in our schools. So just from that leap from the 20th to the 21st century, I think it's worthwhile.
Any other questions?
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So if we have those databases, are they kept behind our firewall then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so from a security standpoint. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Anyone else have questions? Okay. Seeing none.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Did you guys? I didn't get it. Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, as a point of order, we want to also table motion 4.5 on the ES line.
Okay, very good. Mr. Vogel has asked if we could entertain a motion, if anyone's willing to make it to table tab 4.5, which was the ESY, which we did not move. Okay. Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Strasbaugh. All in favor?
Aye.
Good, very good. Thank you for that. Okay.
All right, we'll go to Section 10, Buildings and Grounds. Request approval request approval of the Siemens service agreement for a 3-year period beginning February 1st, 2018 through January 31st, 2021 for $28,559 per year from the general fund. That would be subject to the solicitor reviewing and approving the agreement. This is the company that makes and monitors all of our heating, ventilation, air conditioning controls.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Johnson, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions? Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 10.2, request permission for the use of facilities by outside organizations for the 17-18 school year.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on the outside use?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Graves, you have a question?
Yeah, there's no date for the Define 6 Foundation. Or for the Truth for the Youth Foundation.
Okay. Mr. Finney, do you have the dates for those?
For which one?
Truth for Youth and Defiant 6.
That's the Pittsburgh Steeler.
That's the 27th.
27th is a Defiant 6. How about...
And also Truth for Youth.
Yeah, Truth for the Youth.
And that's the 31st.
31st of March. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. 31st of March.
And Hudson's
And then...
Yeah, Hugs that's moved to 325, not 324.
Okay. Can we make that correction?
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something. I have a last minute permit I'd like to add.
Okay. Well, okay.
Is that okay? The organization would be River City Elite Track Club. It's for track and field at the high school, March 12th, 2018 through July 31st, 2018. Time, 6:15 to 8:30 p.m., Mondays and through Thursdays.
So 4 days a week
Yes.
throughout those months?
Yes.
Okay.
They're going to use it every single day, or is this one of those ones where they're reserving it, and if they don't need it, they'll give it back?
Again, it says Monday through Thursday, so it's hard to tell. It depends, I guess, how many kids they get. They're saying they're going to have 25 to 40 kids from the ages 6 to 18.
Are they, you know what their school district students?
Some of them are, yes.
So they know they're going to get charged.
It's actually been waived because it's been waived in the past.
Well, why would we waive? I don't know. I would recommend the board not approve that. We have talked around for the last 3 months about getting this policy squared away. It's my fault as much as anybody's, but we're giving these things to people for these incredible blocks of time, and we don't know if there are kids or if they're using them every day. It's obviously the board's choice, not mine.
But Linda Davis, who's doing this, is one of our mag dads that comes in and the lunches every day. That's the gentleman who's been there.
When do they want to start using it, Mr. Finney?
Well, it's stated here March 12, 2018, but they had to hold off because it was scheduled.
Okay. When was the request submitted?
February 20th.
Why is it not on the list, if that's the
It
case?
was upstairs in my secretary's desk, so it was just still finding stuff as she's been absent.
Okay. We will record an amendment to the tab to do that, I believe.
This is the track organization that's been using it for years up there. I mean, I know we practice up there in the spring, and there's always a group of, there's an organization that uses the track a lot. I don't know if the guys are different. There's actually another group with young kids that are going to be wanting to use the track at the same time, but their application is going to be approved for next month. It's going to be for April. And they also share the track with River City Elite also in the past.
Okay. And they're willing to work together, the organizations?
Yes, I've already spoken to both.
Okay.
But isn't it, at least isn't this the same time, and again, it's same as our track team, isn't it?
This is in the evening after school. 6:15 p.m., 8:30 p.m.
Okay. We have to amend the list to include that group. Is there someone who wishes to make that motion?
So moved.
Is there a second for the amendment? Okay, hearing no second, the amendment fails for want of a second. As a result, we'll vote on the tab as proposed. Any questions or discussion further?
Both track dates and track agenda for next month, right? So for next month, so we know what we're talking about.
I'd be willing to entertain that for next month. That's, yeah.
Maybe, Bob, if we could have, if they could clarify, do they need those blocks of time, or are there specific dates within those blocks? Just so we, we're trying to get beyond people just reserving. Okay, thanks, Bob.
I have one extra question. What is McMaster United?
That's a church in Turtle Creek. Yeah.
On my region.
It should be United Methodist.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
We'll fix up this matrix and send it out to the board just so you have it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 10.3, request approval to award the Dixon School demolition bud project, to Reynolds Construction at a cost of $434,434 from the capital project funds. Wait a minute, this isn't Reynolds Construction, this is Reynolds Brothers, I'm sorry. This is different Reynolds, right, Pete?
Yeah, they're on both.
Reynolds Brothers.
I just said Reynolds Construction, I just saw it's Reynolds Brothers, I'm sorry. It is a company unrelated to Reynolds.
That is correct.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions?
Yeah, it seems like there's a $200,000 difference between the vote and the kind of money we're accepting.
That is correct. Mike could probably elaborate on it, but he did receive a letter.
Yeah, there was the bidder reviewed the bids himself, the bid tabulation, and reviewed his submitted bid and found a mathematical error and withdrew his bid. So he's no longer the low bid. So we moved to the next lowest bidder, which is Reynolds Brothers, $434,434.
Okay, so Dorn Associates is no longer...
They're no longer in the...
Viable, okay.
No.
They withdrew their bid, yeah.
And we're not accepting the alternate, we're just taking the base bid.
Okay. And also, for anyone reading this is not demolishing the Dixon School, just elements of it that need. So we're not tearing down Dixon. In case anybody's panicking that we're going to tear the building, no, we're not. Just parts of it need to be demoed for, I guess, for abatement mostly.
So having never looked at one of these, what's the fourth column? So alt number 1, and what do those numbers represent in there? So $47,000, G1, 2, and 3.
Those are the alternates. The G1.
Give it alternate.
Mm-hmm.
Their hourly rates for general labor. So in this case, it would be $78 for Reynolds Brothers. The second rate is $20 per linear foot of asbestos abatement. And the third is $4 per square foot of drywall ceiling removal. So the unit prices that make up.
So those are the units that make up the base bid.
But if during their demolition there's additional scope that's not already identified in the contract documents, those are unit costs so that we can break out and get a price for any added work.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why it's an alternate, because we anticipate not having to use any of it, but if we do, it'll come at these rates, if I'm understanding.
Correct. It's defined now.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Action item 10.4, request approval of resolution 530-18 regarding the Dixon School addition and the Act 34 maximum bidding construction cost limit of $8,626,169 and a maximum project cost of $27,854,196.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any questions on this?
Does the board understand what you're doing? You're approving that that'll be the maximum we'll pay for this entire project. Hopefully we'll pay less, but that'll be the maximum.
For your information, the $8,626,000 is the addition only. That's why there's a large discrepancy there. And the $27,854,000, that includes interest on the debt. So you have to include that in here. So.
And we will hold the hearing as per Act 34 next month. Is that my
April 18th.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. That'll be our prior to the regular meeting.
Right. So that's an important public meeting to discuss the renovations there.
And that'll be held here, correct?
That will be held here at the administration building, yeah. Okay. Any questions on that resolution? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote.
No, that's next.
Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 10.5, request approval for advertising of the Act 34 hearing regarding the Dixon Intermediate Construction Project. And that advertisement is attached. It will be again April 18th, as Pete has already mentioned.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Strasbaugh. Again, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves, but there is the notice for that. Any questions on that? Okay. Seeing none. Waiting on me. Motion carries unanimously.
Thanks for coming, Pete.
Thanks.
Action item 10.6, request approval to scrap the attached inventory of equipment at Dixon School. This is stuff we tried to sell and get rid of in various means with no luck, so now we just need to get rid of it. I know the volunteers have asked to be able to take a look through it. We'll make sure they get a chance to do that, see if there's anything they want. But apart from that, we just need to get rid of it so we can get the demolition going.
If they don't come out in an hour, we'll send a search party in for them.
That's right. Well,
is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Seligson. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
It just breaks my heart to, I can only imagine the condition of many of these items, but, and you said, Johnson, you've explored several options of getting rid of them, like construction junction or creative center for use. Even those kinds of places don't want them.
I mean, we've advertised it a whole bunch of different places. Nobody's interested. Bob can probably speak to it better.
Yes, we have advertised to all local schools. Mm-hmm. We had one school that was interested from Ohio. They were going to come in and look at the library. Mm-hmm. Then they got hit with snow, so they canceled that. So that furniture remains there just from that one school. I reached out to all the local, even brothers and brothers. They were initially very interested in helping us because they would have taken a lot of that stuff and sent it over to third world countries. But their areas, their storage areas are so packed from the volunteers shipping stuff to them and them going and picking up stuff. So I've reached out with 3 other local companies as well. One company actually wanted to charge us because they felt that if they couldn't fit it in their storage, that they were going to have to pay for it to get rid of it. So there was 4 different companies. They couldn't help us out.
We've talked about opening it up, and I'm a little hesitant to do that because you've got an old building that's got lots of problems, and I don't know that it would be a good idea for us to just say, come in and help yourself, because I would worry about somebody getting hurt trying to hold something out or some part of the building falling on them. It's a nice idea, but I don't think it would be in our best interest liability-wise to do that.
Do we need a piano? I mean, there's 2 pianos in.
Sir?
There's a lot of stuff in there. I don't know how good it is, but I mean, pianos are not cheap. And
I mean, the problem we have now too is we're right up against our time limit because we got to start demolition. So, I mean, I think Bob's made a yeoman's effort to try to get rid of it, and just it's nobody's. It used to be you could send this stuff to Central America in a heartbeat, but they're just not taking it anymore.
And then there's no way we can open it up to the community. You have concerns about that.
You have to let them inside the building, and the building's not really safe. And
about roughly 2-3 weeks to get the building empty, and it's probably going to take every bit of 2 weeks to get the building empty now.
Bob and Mike and I will talk and see if there's something we could do to maybe put some stuff outside, and then we got to guard it and secure it. We'll see what we'll try. We'll see what we can come up with.
Is there a cost for the
Beg your pardon?
cost? Is there a cost for removing all this?
Take it. That's why we put it out there.
I think that's 10.7. That's what's coming up.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Please tell me.
I'm sure we could open the building up. I mean, the building was functional 2.5 years ago. We're renovating it. We're not stopping because it's been.
All right. Well, let's.
So there might be something we can do.
Let's find some time tomorrow, the 3 of us and Leisha. If we can work out a way we can put the stuff in some kind of safe, or at least an area where we're not worried about something getting damaged or somebody getting damaged, and we can put it on the website or something like that to people help themselves. But a lot of it really is just very beaten up, though, too. I think you'd see it, you'd see that. But
And we have checked with the music department and those, the libraries and all.
Yeah, we've set up.
Okay, so there's not been any
smart board.
Before we go ahead and make a decision on doing that, also please keep in mind, there's no water in the building. There's a lot of dark areas in the building. There's mildew in the building now. A lot of stuff has mildew, so if somebody takes it home, gets sick from the mildew, it's going to come back right back at us. So just try to keep that in mind.
Well, and I know that people are looking at us thinking, what we haven't really tried it. We have tried. We've advertised in all sorts of places. We have made an effort to try to get rid of it, and there's no one's been interested.
Okay. Yeah. Do we want to amend the tab to include this deliberation that's going to happen tomorrow? Say pending.
Yeah.
Pending additional efforts.
Yeah, pending administration efforts to dispose of individual items.
Sure.
Is there someone who? We can take it as a friendly amendment if you're willing.
What John said.
Second, what John said.
Okay. All right. Dr. Hildebrand, Ms. Seligson, you're willing to do that as a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we'll make that amendment, and then if there's no further discussion or questions, we can vote on the tab as amended. It's a friendly amendment. It's a friendly amendment, so no need for that.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously as amended.
Action item 10.7, request approval to hire Stump Moving to remove the scrap equipment from Dixon School at a cost not to exceed $20,000 from the capital project, Fund 39.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Belmont, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Any questions or discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
I will go to 11, Section 11, Legal Matters, Action Item 11.1, permission to approve student adjudication number 7.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Strasbaugh. Any discussion? This would have to happen in executive session. Any need for that? Okay. Seeing none.
Motion passes unanimous with one abstention. We will then go to Section 12, School Finance. Action Item 12.1, request ratification of the bill list for invoices paid after the February 21st, 2018 legislative meeting.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the ratification list? Seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Action Item 12.2, request approval of the March 2018 bill list.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mrs. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the bill list? Okay. Seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Action Item 12.3, request the acceptance of the February 2018 fund reports and student activity reports for informational purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Strasbaugh, second by Ms. Johnson. Is there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action Item 12.4, request recognition of the newly appointed Chalfont tax collector, Carol Donahue.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions on this? Okay, seeing none. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 12.5, request approval of the investment reports for the February of 2018.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh. Any questions on the investment reports? Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 12.6, request approval to file real estate tax appeals for 2018.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Strasbaugh.
If we could add something to that, I would say subject to minor solicitor amendment, because occasionally as we file these, look through these, there's a couple in our criteria that have to be added or subtracted. So.
Okay. Are you amenable to that change? Okay. Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. So what are the highlighted?
Highlighted ones, I think, are the ones
Those
that
are commercial.
They're the commercial ones that our firm will handle with the hearings.
Okay.
The commercial meaning commercial properties or commercial owners? Some of them are marked residential.
The commercial properties.
Some of them are marked residential.
Highlighted
Some
ones?
of the ones? What we did was we looked at ones that were
They may be multi-rental.
yeah, they're rental properties. Usually what it is if it's a bigger than a triplex.
Okay.
I'll handle because usually rental income is involved in the valuation of the property.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none? Motion carries unanimously.
Moving to Assistant Superintendent, action item 13.1, permission to accept the memorandum of understanding from the Churchill Borough Police Department, pending review by the solicitor. That MOU is attached.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on the MOU? Okay. Seeing none, call the vote. Motion carries unanimously.
Action item 13.2, just approval of the 2017 PA Public Library Annual Report for informational purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Strasbaugh, second by Ms. Johnson. Any questions on the report? Seeing none, call the vote. Okay.
Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mrs. Ellison?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand?
Yes.
Ms. Strasburg?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to tell you right first. I remember your first name. Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Bassett?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously.
Moving to section 14, superintendent. Request approval of the data sharing agreement with the Department of Human Services via the MOU that is attached. This is a continuation of the data sharing partnership we've been involved in with them for several years. It's very highly successful.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Mr. Belmont. Any questions on this?
Thanks for the work on it, Al.
Thank you. It's well worth all the time we put into it.
Can you define what you mean by it's been successful for?
Well, I mean, there's a whole host of levels at which it's been successful. We are able to more quickly connect students in need of services to services because we know when they're active with certain county agencies where previously we would have had to wind our way through caseworkers. That's probably the most obvious example. They also give us lots of data analysis that we really don't have the ability to do on everything from attendance to behavior to probation and to, I mean, just a whole host of things. They're able to give us that information. They're also able to help us track students who are in transit from one school district to another, from another district into ours, and that previously that's been almost impossible, but they're able to do that. And we're actually working with them now. The latest initiative, and Jim Clausen and I are working on this with them, is to come up with an academic early warning system whereby if a student becomes active with certain kinds of services or they see certain trends in attendance or other, even down to grades, DHS is going to track that and they're going to generate an early warning. They'll be able to tell us in advance when they begin to see that there's a student who's exhibiting some of these signs would indicate there may be a problem. So it's a really good early intervention idea that we would have a difficult time doing on our own. So I can get you a list of things we've done with them and send along to you, but it's been really an effective partnership for us.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Seeing none? Motion carries unanimously.
I have no more motions, Ms. Glasser.
Okay. Is there any old business?
I have something I wanted to bring up. I'm not sure when it should have been brought up. Still learning. I just wanted to celebrate Miss Silverman's community project at the high school and all of the different communities and folks that came together and shared their experiences. It was a wonderful thing for me to sit back and observe and listen to. And I think from talking to some parents and students and talking with other adults who were there, it seems like a really, really successful event.
Yeah, I second that. It was a good morning for sure.
We're actually, Lisa's actually submitting some of that work to the county, I forget which commission it is, I'm sorry, Human Relations Commission, excuse me, that's what I was trying to spit out, for consideration for an award they give, and I'm very hopeful she'll get that.
Great.
Her club that she runs there is just really amazing, and I couldn't agree more with what you're saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. Anybody else? Old business? Okay. Any new business? Yes, Mr. Belmont.
Could have said this on our announcements. The Race for Grace is next month at Norwin High School. You can get information at the Reflections for Grace Foundation.org.
Thank you for that. Anything else for new business? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into committee reports. I guess we'll just go in the order that I see them here. I will start with technology. The Technology Committee met last month on the 27th of February, at which we discussed the Raptor system that we approved this evening. Thank you for that. And we discussed the transition to the new student information system as well. Those were the points of discussion for technology last month. Moving on to curriculum, Dr. Hildebrand.
I unfortunately had a work commitment, so I wasn't at the curriculum meeting, so I apologize. I did talk to Mr. Clausen before the meeting about some of the data that he was going to be giving out, and basically looking through the last benchmarks for DIBELS and iReady reports, looking at growth scores and those sorts of things. Also, I guess in some level, evaluating the new iReady system, and apparently that seems to be working well. Everyone seems pretty psyched about that. There's principals nodding their heads back there, so that's good, right? So kudos to Mr. Clausen for finding that system and implementing it. And then some other curriculum surveys that I would speak to, but I can't because I would be ignorant because I wasn't there. So if Mr. Clausen has anything to add about that, but...
No, we presented some data on just the feedback we received
Thank you for that. That will move us to finance. Mr. Graves, are you able to see that report and give that?
Yeah. The biggest thing that came out of the meeting was about tripod and landing, in which Mr. Belmont is in that student information according to that. But it's also taking property and how we donate, well, kind of donate the properties to the tripod and they tear them down or they use them for other ways to maybe get us getting tax revenue or anything like that. So that was everything. Presentation that was given. Then we had a brief update on budget, and also we talked about some of the tax, what was being taxed on. We talked about some of the appeals to municipalities and stuff like that. So.
Thank you for that. Mrs. Seligson, Special Ed and People Personnel.
Special Ed, we passed examinations that started in February 19th through April 13th. ESY, that's going to be from July 9th to August 3rd, starting at 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Academy. We're still working on our final numbers for all the students that will be there. The Special Ed committees met on the 21st of February, administrators at the junior senior high for a question and answer session, and on the 16th of February that facilitated Special Ed ed camp that was on the 16th. We have on February 20th there was a continuum of special ed services provided, a presentation. 17 families attended, 14 of the 17 completed the registration. Full kindergarten registration will be made available. 9 of the 14 completed the registration. So then there were 33 students who were eligible for the transition. For our pupil personnel, there was a counselor meeting, which was on March 6th, on a Thursday. Provided reports for the following departments. There are nurses, social workers, guidance counselors, RTII, and school psychologists. And the updates provided on the current partnership with Pampering with a Purpose, Ruth's Way, and Ask Me, Hear Me. I want to throw in for Forbes Road, since that's my chair, there was on Tuesday, March 6th, we had the National Tech Honor Society. We honored one of our automotive students, Jordan Hunter, was honored that day. And also we voted on a new roof for their buildings.
Great, thank you. I'll also add an update from the Eastern Area Special Schools Board on which I sit as a representative for Woodland Hills. The Eastern Areas Board governs Sunrise School, which is the primary focus at this point, and we also talked about a roof. There's been some roofing issues at that building as well. Otherwise, things continue to go well. There's going to be a garden installed out there for a learning garden for the students at Sunrise as well. So that's the update from that. I will also share that the Facilities Committee met last month and discussed with the architects and our construction management the project at Dixon and the Act 34 process as well. Any other committee updates? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time? Okay. Please give your name and place of residence. Comments are limited to 2 minutes, and speakers are to refrain from any public or from any personal assertions against board members or personnel.
First question, I was wondering how many candidates do you guys have for the principal position?
At this point, we don't really entertain questions in this forum. If you want to ask questions, we'd be happy to answer those outside the meeting, but this is not a forum in which we can engage in debate or questions and answers. So if you want to present questions, we'd be happy to answer them after the meeting is concluded.
Okay, I'll wait till after the meeting is concluded.
Very good. Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Adjourned. Thank you all.